absolutely. Thanks, Shannon. By the way, been following this. This is the eighth episode. The last seven have been awesome. So I'm gonna try to meet up to those standards, but wanted to share what we are doing here, right? And I wanted to today more talk about like how do we go from demos to production, right? It's not, we'll talk about what Natoma is doing, but I wanted to start off by sharing what we have heard. We've been talking to enterprises about MCP and like the weather demos. We've all done the weather demos. They're awesome, but what are the practical use cases? How do you really, what does it take to go from that weather demo to an actual enterprise production, right? So with that, of course, we all know the MCP momentum. It's been unreal. It is really unlocking some ROI on Gen AI side. Just look at the growth. I mean, some I saw this on Google Analytics, and this was like, oh wow, it's quite interesting. But this, you still have that chasm from demo to pro. What is that chasm? What we've heard repeatedly from enterprises, right? Now, the step one is like, oh, people are super excited because of that momentum. Our developers are like hosting local MCP servers, and everybody is using vibe coding these days, right? And we already know everyone loves Cursor. Everybody loves. We already know what happened with Windsurf and that saga and Augment. You take your pick. Everybody loves that, but developers are wicked smart. They don't stop there. They're like, oh, there's this MCP server, and let me download it, connect it to variety of different enterprise tools. So customers like enterprises, IT teams, security teams are kind of worried because we've all heard about the newer vulnerabilities. There was an awesome talk on the MCP vulnerabilities around tool hijacking and the tool poisoning, rug pull attacks. I'm not going to go cover that, but enterprises are aware of it and they're super worried. And the other biggest one, as you can imagine, is the authentication and authorization side, right? Not only just security from like new vulnerabilities that are coming in, but like, hey, if I connect this to my Claude, how do you ensure that what Paresh is actually accessing, does he really have that access on the third-party systems and stuff like that? And the third one is really around ease of use and scaling this thing, right? Developers love MCPs. We've been working and building those MCP servers. I have it running on my laptop as well. But think about like GenAI really unlocks for all business units in an enterprise. So like a marketing person or a salesperson, or you may think like an HR person, and they might want to connect to their CRM and Salesforce and HubSpot and Marketo and Adobe and what have you, right? That's they are not technical. They're not going to go set up a Docker container and set up a local MCP server. So that ease of use is very critical. And the last and the biggest one is this is coming is like the observability and governance. You have all these MCP servers, now you're connecting to your enterprise data. Who's making what calls? How are you doing it? What is the governance around it? Regulators are always a step behind, but that piece regulators will catch up, and this will become like a massive problem. And security teams, IT teams are very well aware of it, and they are gonna be worried about that traceability, auditability, the whole gamut around. So what does an enterprise grade really mean, right? If you think about it, I mean, reliability, scalability, very obvious ones, right? It might not seem obvious when you're thinking of it, but what if you are like bringing in Gen AI to have like improve your enterprise productivity, and the server goes down, and now you're not able to connect your Claude to Salesforce, for example. Authentication, authorization, fine-grained controls, making sure that it's like, hey, I can't go see my CEO's uh, salary, right? So that authorization layer is very critical. Policy-based controls, operational controls you need, right? Snowflakes, I mean, you have all these data warehousing tools. You need to have controls, filters around what kind of data is being accessed. I already mentioned the traceability, auditability, and security and compliance. Very, very critical. This is where Natoma Agent Access comes, right? We are that fabric we've built. We are like a hosted MCP servers. We make it super easy to use for customers, have that flexible deployment model, and provide that guardrails of how that security guardrails, authentication guardrails, authorization guardrails. And because we kind of are that fabric of hosted MCP servers sitting in front of all your enterprise data, we make sure that we are meeting all the standards, right? Like, so all the MCP servers you have, it actually meets the latest MCP spec that came out in May. Make sure that you're meeting those authentication, authorization, OAuth connections, manage all of that. Of course, we are a registry. It's part of the, it's mirroring the official MCP registry. But because we want to really focus on ease of use, we end up hosting. So you don't need people don't need to worry about running those Docker containers or running that locally on their endpoints. But also in terms of like proxy, right? Like think like likes of Atlassian or Asana, as ISVs start hosting their MCP servers, we can go connect. But the biggest one is think about it from functional and access policy controls, right? Making sure that data loss protections, making sure that policy engine, making sure that auditability, traceability that I was talking about. Now, think about a time when these regulators do catch up, having like a Natoma agent access in place ensures that enterprises can really go jump in and start doing that. Very quick, again, flexible deployment model. As I said, deployment is not the key, but from that ease of use perspective, we start hosting it so people don't have to worry about it. We also will start supporting the desktop extensions. I'm sure all of you guys are well aware of that because we have those endpoint, lightweight endpoint agent that can run on users, developers, desktop, and that makes it very easy for you to go and configure those JSON files and stuff. And being like an enterprise ready tool, we ensure as we are uncovering different use cases beyond uh, just the IDE, really uncovering GenAI use cases at enterprises. We're building custom MCP servers for on-prem applications as well, and having that capability to have like in ChatGPT enterprise able to connect to an on-prem application. Reliability and scale, I already hit on that. Absolutely critical if you want to improve your productivity. This layer cannot go down, and having that 5 nines availability is absolute, absolute paramount. And with that, you need scaling and hibernation. And us all being like developers, Terraform base is absolutely critical. ISC becomes absolutely critical. The cops only goes so far. We need those automation capabilities as well. And security, right? I mean that whole thing about security, governance, discovering those local MCP servers, having those fine-grained authorization, not only just like using OAuth for MCP client to server, but also making sure we have the OAuth coming in from downstream systems and getting the OAuth tokens from the third-party applications and things like that. API rate limiting, policy enforcement, access policy enforcement, and then having that whole capability and monitoring aspects as well, right? Like that audit and compliance. Instead of I'm done enough of talking and sharing slides. I actually want to show you a demo. I know we have very short window here, so would love to show you a demo, and I'm going to show you a demo, but I just wanted to, oops, I just see a error, a typo here. There is a free trial. The registration code is Natoma-free trial, SETIAL, not TIAL. It will be trial. And then we want to talk more, want to see a deeper demo, have to do a deeper demo as well. But let's go and I'm not going. I promise you, and I promised Shannon yesterday, I will not show a weather demo. I will actually show a real, actual, active demo. Right? Uh, an enterprise ready demo. So let's talk about first thing first is like discovery of shadow MCP servers, right? This becomes absolutely critical. So if you have local MCP enterprises connecting to local MCP servers, we can discover the platform. By the way, this is all live. As you can see, it's not Figma. We can discover those local MCP servers. So alerting those IT teams and making sure that, hey, you want to use MongoDB? Awesome. Let's make sure you are using the right one. You have the right guardrails and you're not just using random, right? Traceability, auditability, as I was mentioning, becomes absolutely critical as well. I'll come back to it. But the first thing first is what kind of MCP servers you have, right? Of course, we have that registry. You can go and search any of those. You can start adding any of these things as well. Let's say I want to add for a marketing use case around data for SEO. You can do a managed connection, do a personal connection, get the OAuth token, get the end users letting do that. Of course, you can enable and disable any of the tools uh, you may or may not want as an IT admin to have all of those tools enabled. You may want to control like, hey, don't allow like bulk backlinks or don't allow like, you get the idea, bulk ranks. So control what tools are available. You can do, you come in, enter the right credentials. You can provide that visibility, right? You don't want these MCP servers available to everybody in your enterprise. You can assign it to certain folks. And like, hey, the dev team, they only get for like GitHub and Linear and Atlassian and whatever. If you have like data for SEO or Salesforce, the sales guys kind of or the marketing team kinda gets it. I'll skip for that for now, but that gives you an idea. End user, they see these MCP servers that are available to them. They can go and add these MCP servers, uh, like go add them. If they are managed ones, if they are personal ones, they can add those credentials. And then, of course, there is no MCP demo without a Claude, right? Let's say I pull up Claude. I have this Claude connected to my Okta, and I've connected it to my Slack. Again, think like actual real use case. Now, from an IT operation perspective, an IT team might want to find out when a certain person has actually rotated their password in Okta, Okta being like an identity IDP. So let's say, hey, find out when Ted Lasso rotated the password, and if it's more than a year, go notify it in. Okay, you get the idea. It's going to do the tool calls. It's going to figure out when it is. I don't need to talk about all of Claude's awesomeness, but you get the idea that you can connect to multiple tools, but with the right guardrails. And as you're doing that, all of these tool calls activities that are being happening will be captured in the activity logs, and just from an enterprise perspective they will be able to go and pump it to their sim tools. With that, my 20 minutes are up is what I've been told, so I'm going to pause and stop sharing. Shannon, yes sir,
Gosh, that
what
was really
questions do we
great.
have? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that and walking us through it. I certainly have a couple questions. So tell me a little bit about the platform. Is this something that you guys just recently launched? Has it been available for a while? What's been the journey to build this for you guys as a team?
Journey started Christmas of 2025 for or 2024 for all of us, right? When MCP, the company taking a step back, the company Natoma started in January 2024. We were doing that shadow AI discovery and wanted to do that AI identity aspects of it, and like, hey, what does that AI identity look like? The team actually comes, some ex Okta team kind of comes Okta. No wonder there was an Okta demo. Uh, but that's where the journey started, and all of our entire Christmas time was spent going deep into MCP, and we're like, hey, what is this? How can it really help? And we're like, oh, this really can unlock uh, real Gen AI use cases. But as it can unlock real Gen AI use cases, as we were thinking of like AI agent identity and like having these AI agent identity and becoming like sort of lack of a better term, like an IDP for an AI agent, this becomes like, okay, MCP is the right protocol. to help you integrate and provide the right guardrails. And since then, the product, to answer your question on when the product, where the product, as I said, it's live. We launched it end of March. We already have customers using this product. A lot of customers are in that same IDE use case, as we all know, biggest GenAI use cases. So a lot of engineering teams, they are using it, making it super simple. Uh, think like larger organizations. Not every developer is wants to do these local MCP servers. Having this thing makes it so much easier. We're starting to unlock a lot of other IT use cases, just as I showed, like Slack or like Okta or uh, like things like mm, Contra ID and like all of those use cases around IT operations, IT tickets, like connecting into Dropbox, and how do we reduce all of. So we're learning like generally, like we all know, the MCP is unreal and it can really, really unlock the power of Gen AI. That is where we are kind of helping them, like, hey, go connect to your Okta and then connect to SRP and go SAP, sorry, operational efficiencies around those things, all the manual tasks.
So,
So those two big buckets.
so I'm curious, as you're bringing customers and users, and is like, are you still seeing? Because I have kind of this question about MCP in general. Is like, are you seeing primarily you're interacting with, like, your users are primarily engineering developers? Like, because I just have this wonder of like MCP is obviously a very useful technology, but like is it going to escape out of developers, or developers going to be taking MCP and packaging it up into another solution that really hits more of the kind of the consumer non-techie crowd?
I would say it will eventually get there. We were literally just having that discussion. It kind of fits in those three buckets. Majority of the early adopters are always engineers, right?
Yeah, of
That
course.
quite obvious, and they're like, hey, oh, this is awesome. Let's do it. Let's make it easy for all my team, and I have that. The second bucket that where we're seeing a lot of good use cases is these IT operational uh, service now tickets they have, and they are manually going into Dropbox or going into I need to go clean up something here. How do we help you, like going into their other tools, helping them security operations, not only IT operations, even the SOC teams, helping them automate and leverage Gen AI into real production use cases. And the third and the biggest one, which remains really untapped in my opinion, is these think about the other non-technical business users, your marketing teams. They want to run campaigns. They have certain things into your HubSpot, and they'll have certain other things in your Marketo, and they ran some last campaign, want to see that data. Imagine connecting all of these things instead of like going and manually doing. So that piece remains massively untapped. Now, can you even imagine like a marketing person actually setting up an MCP server? Absolutely not, right?
Oh yeah, of course,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. So
Hey, now,
this is where we kind
there's
of
pretty smart
help them
marketing
unlock.
people out there. Let's not disparage
Yeah,
our
fair enough.
guidelines.
Fair enough.
Oh
Okay,
no,
I'm not
they're
gonna.
really
Yeah,
stupid.
sorry.
Check.
No, no, I'm not saying that, but like
I mean, we
they
haven't made it
want to.
easy. The truth is, like, we just haven't made it easy. The
Yeah.
reality is
Yeah.
seeing it show up in, I think that the general purpose business user is still looking for tools that look more like ChatGPT, right? They want something, and then they want to click the tools button, and then from the tools button, they want to be able to see. Honestly, I don't think they even want to hear MCP ever. They just want to hear about apps, extensions, data, whatever. That's what they want. Okay, so what app? What functionality maybe within an app? Like maybe an app is big enough that it spans multiple different functional capabilities. But yeah, but I do think that
Not
that
everyone,
that is
100%.
where we unlock the real adoption of MCPs.
Yeah, because I'm
And
really curious about this model of like Claude Desktop. They're doing this really well, where the user can go in and add these connectors. I don't know if they call it connect, but so they're adding those in, and that seems like a really interesting use case. But the reality at the moment, it's so new, it's not exactly proven yet that like this is unlocking amazing powers. So it's like, So I'm just kind of curious to see how it's really going to pan out. Where it's like, obviously, like MCP has been this amazing thing within like the development community, and I think it's unlocked a lot of capabilities on how to more easily integrate models and tools and things. But as soon as it starts getting to the end, like the more consumer type person, it's like, I'm just curious to see how it pan out. Like, there's obviously value here. Like, just what is it going to look at the end of the day? So yeah, I'm just kind of excited to see as this develops. Anthropic's doing an amazing job of packaging it up nicely for people, so that you demo it on desktop. It's like, yeah,
absolutely, no, 100% agree. And
and
I was just going to say I saw a note from somebody in YouTube channel, like security privacy also becomes like a big factor, right? And having these guardrails, it becomes really, really important. And having that fabric from the beginning is awesome. But yeah, I'll stick to my time and respect. You need
congratulations,
to move on, right?
Paresh. It looks really cool, and congrats on the company. It sounds like you guys are on a really smart path. So, thank you so much for joining us.